I didn't confront her when I saw it. I zipped the bag closed and set it back where it belonged. The way you return a chess piece after memorizing the board. Shock is loud. Planning is quiet. We'd built a life that looked unbreakable from the outside. Weekend routines, shared passwords, inside jokes that only work when you've been together long enough to stop. Explaining yourself. I believed in that version of us because it was efficient to believe. Love, like trust, saves time. The bag was leather, worn at the corners. Mine, technically. A gift from our first anniversary. I remember the receipt because I'd kept the old habit from a previous life where documentation meant survival. Inside, tucked behind receipts and lipstick, was the tube. Men's lubricant, new, unapologetic. I didn't feel rage. I felt calibration. There had been signs I'd chosen to call coincidences. Late yoga classes that ended too clean. The way she'd shower immediately after coming home. As if the day itself needed to be rinsed off. The sudden interest in privacy. Phone face down, smile reserved for elsewhere. I let the night pass untouched. I kissed her forehead. I listened to her breathe. I watched the ceiling fan complete its quiet revolutions and counted what I would need. The next morning I replaced the tube. Not with violence, with truth. I swapped it for a tamper-evident tube. Identical in weight, color, smell. Inside wasn't glue. It was a forensic dye compound used in banks and museums. Invisible until heat and friction woke it. Up, harmless, indelible. It stained skin and fabric with a signature that doesn't wash out for days. Super glue was the idea she would tell herself later. The reality was worse. I didn't rush. Revenge, like cooking, is ruined by impatience. I gathered what the dye would lead me to. Dates, times, locations. I hired a private investigator who charged by the hour and spoke only when necessary. I pulled phone records with the calm efficiency of a man who used to sit across from CEOs and make them blink. I learned his name. Ethan, mid-level, married, 2 kids. A LinkedIn smile that never reached his eyes. I learned their routine. Tuesday afternoons, a gym with private lockers and a steam room that doubled as a confession booth. I learned which locker she used, which towel, which cologne he favored. I learned enough to stop guessing. The day it happened, I was nowhere near them. I was in my office, reviewing documents I'd already memorized, when my phone buzzed. A single message from the investigator. No words, just photos. Purple-black stains across his hands, his neck, his shirt. Her dress ruined, their panic frozen mid-motion. The way people look when they realize the room has cameras. The gym manager called the police, thinking it was vandalism. The dye marked them like a crime scene that refused to end. They tried scrubbing. They tried explanations. The compound bloomed brighter with heat. By evening, the truth was everywhere it needed to be. I didn't confront her that night either. I waited until breakfast, quiet, civil. I slid a folder across the table, the way I used to in boardrooms when deals were already dead. Inside were photos, a timeline, screenshots, a notarized separation agreement. I'd filed first. I always do. She cried, not because she was caught, because the story she'd been telling herself collapsed. Cheaters don't mourn the betrayal. They mourn the inconvenience. He called me once, left a voicemail. Apologies stacked on apologies, each one cheaper than the last. I didn't return it. His wife already had the photos. Justice doesn't need commentary. The fallout was surgical. Our assets were cleanly divided. The house sold quickly. I kept my name, my routines, my sleep. She kept the explanation she'd have to give everyone else. Weeks later, I ran into her at a cafe. The stain was gone from her skin, but not from her eyes. Some marks sink deeper. She asked me if I hated her. I told her the truth. No, hate takes energy. What I felt was something colder and more precise. The satisfaction of a plan executed without collateral damage. The quiet power of letting consequences do the screaming. People think revenge has to be loud, messy, cruel. They're wrong. The most effective revenge is clarity. The kind that leaves no room for denial. The kind that sticks.